Welcome to 15 Minutes Health, your source for clear, evidence-based insights in nutrition, neuroscience, longevity, and everyday wellness. Each video delivers science you can trust, designed to help you build a stronger, healthier life, all in under 15 minutes. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss practical, science-backed tools that can improve your health for the rest of your life.
Today, we're going to break down a complete system for engineering your internal state. And what I mean by that is moving past just reacting to whatever the world throws at you, and instead deliberately building your own focus, your own emotional control, and your own resilience. We're going to look at the exact protocols used by some of the most elite performers on the planet. But what's really important to get is that these aren't tricks. They're tools based on fundamental neuroscience that are available to all of us. We'll get into the actual neural circuits that control focus and motivation, the hormonal systems that run our stress response, and the brain's amazing ability to change itself, something we call neuroplasticity. By the end, you're going to have a toolkit, backed by science, to build your own internal operating system for whatever it is you want to achieve. So this is really the big question, isn't it? We live in a world that is just full of distraction, constant stress, and total unpredictability. And trying to keep your head straight can feel, well, impossible sometimes. But then you see certain people who just seem to have this incredible ability to stay calm, stay focused, and be effective no matter what. So how do they pull it off? The answer isn't some genetic gift. It's a set of deliberate, practiced, and repeatable protocols. That quote, it's from DJ Shipley, a farmer Tier 1 operator, and it just perfectly captures the whole idea we're talking about today. The control you feel over your life isn't something you just have. It's something you build, one small, intentional action at a time, starting from the second you wake up. This isn't about brute force willpower. It's about understanding how your brain works and using its own systems to your advantage. So in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct the exact science-backed system that operators like DJ use. We're going to peel back the layers on the neuroscience of building momentum, the biology of how our brain uses context to focus, and even the incredible neuroplasticity that allows the brain to heal from trauma. And for each of these mechanisms, we'll give you the specific tools and protocols that you can actually use. Okay, so here's our game plan. First up, we're diving into mastering the morning, how very specific actions when you wake up can actually hijack your dopamine system to build momentum for the whole day. Then we'll get into compartmentalization, the science of how your environment literally primes your brain for different tasks. After that, we'll cover fitness as a foundation, and we're going to reframe it as a critical tool for managing stress and boosting your brain function. And finally, we'll touch on a pretty advanced topic, rewiring from trauma, looking at how the brain can be guided to fundamentally reshape itself. All right, let's start at the beginning, literally. The first core mechanism is all about mastering the morning. And the underlying principle here is that the neurochemical cocktail you mix in that first hour creates a massive ripple effect through the rest of your day. To really get this, we need to look at two things. Your prefrontal cortex, that's your brain's CEO in charge of decisions, and your dopamine system, which is all about motivation and reward. When you first wake up, your prefrontal cortex is really vulnerable to something called decision fatigue. Think about it. Every little choice, hitting snooze, checking your phone, figuring out what to wear, it's like a tiny withdrawal from your mental bank account. A pre-planned morning routine completely bypasses that. You're putting the start of your day on autopilot, which saves all that brain power for the big stuff later. And here's the kicker. Every small task you complete, making your bed, drinking a glass of water, is a micro win that gives you a little hit of dopamine. This does more than just feel good. It strengthens a neural pathway in your brain that says, when I take action, I get results. That is how you build psychological momentum. So the tool is a rock-solid, non-negotiable morning protocol. And step one is maybe the most important anchor of all, a consistent wake-up time every single day. We're not talking about how many hours you sleep, but the consistency of when you wake up. Doing this sets your circadian rhythm, your body's master clock, with incredible precision. And when your body knows exactly when morning is coming, it can time its hormone release perfectly. You get a bigger pulse of growth hormone right before you wake up, which is critical for physical and mental recovery. You also get a nice clean spike of the alertness hormone cortisol right when you need it, instead of having it all over the place, which can leave you feeling groggy or anxious. Steps 2 and 3, the repeatable sequence with no distractions, that's all about protecting your brain power and starting that dopamine cascade we talked about. The whole point is to show up to your first big task of the day, like a workout, already in a state of control, having already stacked a few wins. Now, this idea of building a state of control leads us right into the next key mechanism. Your brain is a context-dependent machine. This is a huge principle in neuroscience. Your brain isn't just floating in space. Your mood, your focus, your entire sense of self, they're not fixed. They are constantly being molded by your environment. The room you're in, the people you're with, the task in front of you. Your brain is always asking, okay, where am I and who am I supposed to be right now? And the beautiful thing is, you can deliberately set those contexts to prime your brain for success. And to really make this click, there's this fantastic metaphor. Just imagine that your mental state, your focus, your mood, is a little steel ball bearing. This shows you the difference between a mind that just reacts and one that's been engineered. The default state, that's the ball bearing on a totally flat, polished table. The tiniest little nudge, a random notification, a distracting thought, sends it rolling off in a completely different direction. But the designed state, that's totally different. That's where you've carved a deep trench in the table. Now, the ball bearing can only go one way, forward. It's stable, it's directed, and it's almost impossible for random distractions to knock it off course. You build these trenches with deliberate protocols. So let's see what this looks like in the real world. This timeline is basically a map of these trenches being carved throughout the day. Each block of time has one single, clear purpose, and it's protected by firm boundaries. The morning routine is the first trench. The workout is another one, where the context is purely physical work. No emails, no calls. Then you have your deep work block. Same idea. But look closely at that transition at 6 p.m. For so many people, this is where it all falls apart, where the stress from work just bleeds right into family time. By creating a specific protocol for that transition, you're actively managing your brain's shift from one context to the next. Let's break this tool down because it's so simple but so powerful. The whole point is to stop the stress of one role from contaminating the next. So the protocol is this. During that 12-minute drive home, a specific trigger, in this case, calming music, starts the mental shift. Then you deliberately rehearse in your mind how you want to be in the next context. You're not replaying your workday. You're asking, okay, who does my family need me to be right now? The goal is to walk through that front door having already switched gears, totally present and ready to be the husband or father your family deserves. That is contextual engineering. Now this brings us to our third core idea, which might feel a little counterintuitive at first. It reframes fitness not as something you do for yourself, but as one of the most foundational, selfless things you can do for others. So what's the biology behind this? Well, it comes down to a concept called interoception, which is really just your brain's ability to sense what's going on inside your body. Your heart rate, your breathing, all of it. The part of your brain that handles this, the insular cortex, is also a major hub for processing emotion. So when you do intense physical training, you are voluntarily pushing your body's systems hard and learning to pay close attention to those signals. This trains your brain to get comfortable with high levels of physical stress without freaking out. You're essentially widening your container for stress. And that makes you way more resilient when it comes to handling the emotional and mental stress of being there for your family, your team, or your mission. And that's why this mindset is so critical. This quote says it all. You have to recognize that this protected time for training isn't a luxury, it's a non-negotiable part of being able to perform at a high level in every other part of your life. When you optimize yourself first, you make sure that everyone else in your life gets the best version of you, the one who is stable, focused, and capable. So, how do you build this physical foundation? The tool here is a specific fitness program that is built on clear, objective standards. This system isn't designed to make you look good in a mirror. It's designed to build true functional capacity, the ability to handle real-world physical demands without breaking. And what's so powerful about this is that it's not vague. It's not just go to the gym. As you can see here, it's all built around measurable standards. You've got benchmarks for upper body strength, full body power, grip strength, and cardio. Having these concrete numbers to shoot for takes all the guesswork out of it. You would know exactly what you're working toward. And here's how that breaks down over a typical week. It's not random, it's a structured split designed to hit everything without overtraining. You've got your pull day, your push day, a day for high-intensity sprints, a really tough leg day to build that core strength, and then a lighter day to help with recovery. It's a complete system. Everything we've talked about so far is for optimizing a brain that's, for the most part, functioning properly. But what happens when the brain's wiring has been deeply damaged by trauma? This brings us to our last and, frankly, most profound topic, using targeted protocols to literally rewire the brain. For some kinds of severe trauma, the brain gets stuck in such rigid, painful patterns that normal therapies just can't break through. In those cases, the mechanism for change requires a temporary chemically induced state of massive neuroplasticity, where the brain becomes incredibly flexible, opening up the possibility of reshaping its deepest circuits. The psychological state that allows for this deep rewiring is called ego dissolution. What's happening in the brain is a temporary quieting of something called the default mode network. You can think of the default mode network as the part of your brain that tells the story of you. It's active when you're thinking about yourself, your past, your future. With trauma, this network can become hyperactive and rigid, trapping you in a story of pain and fear. Ego dissolution, typically induced in a clinical setting with specific compounds, temporarily turns the volume down on that network. And this allows the rigid sense of I to soften, giving the brain a chance to look at old, painful memories from a completely new, undefended point of view. Now, I have to be crystal clear here. We're talking about incredibly powerful therapeutic tools like ibogaine and 5-MeO-DMT, used for severe treatment-resistant trauma in very controlled clinical and legal settings. These are absolutely not recreational drugs. Their power comes from their ability to create this window of intense brain plasticity, which when paired with expert guidance can help break patterns that nothing else could touch.
And you can just see the potential for transformation here. The internal state before this kind of deep work is often defined by these looping negative emotions, anger, guilt, and a profound sense of being cut off from yourself and other people. The state after is often described as a complete reversal, a return to being present, a deep feeling of empathy and connection, and the ability to feel love and joy that had been blocked off for years.
This quote really gets to the heart of the experience. The ego, the story of you, builds up massive walls to protect itself from overwhelming trauma. To truly heal, sometimes you need something powerful enough to gently dismantle those walls. It's a process that allows for a fundamental reset, a rewiring from the ground up. And I'll just add that the full protocol isn't just the experience itself. It involves rigorous medical screening beforehand and, just as importantly, a lot of integration therapy afterward to help make sense of it all and build those new, healthier neural pathways. It's a complete, supervised process. So when you put all these pieces together, what's the big picture? It's a fundamental shift in how you see yourself. You are not just a passenger, subject to whatever moods or circumstances come your way. You are the architect of your own internal world. Your life is a system, and you have the tools to engineer it. So let's just quickly run through the key takeaways. First, build momentum with a non-negotiable morning routine to leverage your dopamine system. Second, engineer your context, creating clear boundaries and transitions between the different roles you play in life. Third, anchor yourself in physicality. Treat fitness as a selfless act that builds your capacity to serve others. And fourth, understand that the brain is plastic. It can and does change and rewire itself. The common thread through all of this is moving from being reactive to being proactive. And the key to making this work for you isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent and becoming your own scientist. Your biology is unique to you, so pay attention to the feedback your body and mind are giving you. By understanding these mechanisms and consistently using the tools, you can stop being a passenger in your own mind and start being the architect of a focused, resilient, and high-performing life. And that brings me to my final question for you, because knowing this stuff is one thing, but doing it is everything. So looking at this entire system, what is the one small, non-negotiable protocol that you will start tomorrow morning? Maybe it's just waking up at the same time. Maybe it's doing 2 minutes of breath work. Maybe it's just making your bed without checking your phone. The entire process of engineering your state of mind starts with one deliberate choice. What's yours going to be?
Thanks for watching 15 Minutes Health. If this video helped you, consider subscribing. Your support allows us to keep creating clear, science-backed content to help you stay healthier, stronger, and better informed. See you in the next video.